meeting to order and ask you to join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Misty, I'd ask if you'd call the roll, please.
David Burris.
Here.
Ray Eckerby.
Here.
Bill Lukens.
Here.
Bob Nelson.
Here.
Ron Richards.
Here.
Allison Ritterbusch. Here. Craig Romey.
Present.
Caitlin Turner. Here. Thank you.
Okay, we do have a quorum. The first item is to adopt the agenda. I'd accept a motion to adopt the agenda.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is adopted, and again, I remind all council individuals that if there is a conflict of interest on any item that is on the agenda tonight, I would ask that you notify the entire council prior to voting. You have in your packages minutes for the June 1st meeting and the June 8th special meeting to canvass the election results. I'd ask for a motion to approve both of those minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from June 1st and June 8th special meetings, canvass the election results.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve these minutes. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You have before you in your packages bills in between for $156,311.62. I would ask for a motion to approve those bills in between.
I make a motion to approve bills in between the amount of $156,311.62.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the bills in between. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those bills in between are approved. You have in your packages current claims, and we do have an adjustment to the current claims on page 3 under the True Green item. The sales tax has been removed from that transaction, and that gives us a new total of $183,049.46. That's $183,049.46. I'd ask for a motion to approve the amended current claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the current claims for $183,049.46.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve those current claims. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those current claims are approved. You also have in your packages a list of Wells Fargo credit card charges for $2,811.34. I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve Wells Fargo credit card charges for $2,811.34.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve those credit card charges. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those cards are approved. We have tonight, had heard earlier from Cable Thorstensen. Tracy has given us a more in-depth audit presentation, and she's giving us a summary of that at this time. So I call forth Tracy. Welcome to Hot Springs, and we look forward to hearing your report.
Yes. Can you hear me? Good evening. I am here to just give you a summarized report on the audit, and I'll start with a thank you to the finance office staff. We did the audit entirely remotely due to the situation with the pandemic, so they made extra efforts to get us all of that information electronically, so thank you to them. And then overall, from an audit result standpoint, it resulted in a clean opinion. That's the type of opinion you want to receive as a result of the audit. So it was a successful audit process. And as the mayor mentioned, we went through the details from a financial perspective of the financial report, and we talked through the findings. And overall, congrats to the finance staff and to you as council for a successful audit. So I can take any questions from anyone who wasn't part of the pre-meeting, but congrats.
Okay, are there any questions from the council? So Tracy, again, we thank you. I think it's very important that we are transparent with our finances. Misty, I want to thank you and congratulate you. This is the third year that we've been through one of these. We've yet to have a major finding, and that says that you and your staff are doing an outstanding job, and we appreciate that. That's vitally important in small towns that don't have real big budgets, and every penny counts, and so we appreciate that, and we appreciate your professional advice in helping us keeping those beans in the right buckets, so we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. You all have a nice evening.
You too, thank you.
I would just say I couldn't do it without the support of the council and your understanding of the need for our processes and procedures. So we definitely are a team, and it's the success of all of us that you see in this audit report. So thank you.
Okay, it's my pleasure at this time to make a presentation, and I'd ask Darcy Engel to come forward, our Police Department Secretary and a Reserve Officer. And you see a lot of Legion hats in the audience. And we've got a special presentation, a formal thank you of acknowledgement and support that we want to present. So I'd ask also that members of the Legion would come forth here and center stage, because I think it's important that you get recognized for the things that you do. I think our Legion folks and our police department have a lot in common. There's very few vocations where people have to place themselves and their lives on the line. One of those vocations is certainly the military. Another vocation is our police officers on a day-to-day basis. They don't know what they're going to expect and what they will encounter. And so you understand what our police officers go through, those of you that have served in the military or had spouses that have served in the military. And we know that you appreciate our police as an organization because of what you've done. And so I want to read formally this note of a formal thank you to each of you. On this 15th day of June, 2020, the Mayor, City of Hot Springs, Public Safety Committee, and the Police Department and its individual members would like to formally recognize and thank the American Legion family for their consistent and ongoing support through the years. You have presented the colors at the DARE graduation ceremony. And I just might add, what a wonderful way that our police officers reach out to our community, to the youngsters, to get them to know that the police aren't their enemy, but they're there to help them. You supported the Child Protection Team. Again, a vital, important part of our community. Thank you. Your members have assisted with traffic control during parades. In doing so, become not only a force multiplier for our police department, but also serve as a reminder that we are the veterans' town. And again, thank you for the things that you do for our parades, the celebrations that we have. Your members have donated their time to protect our young people, as in the recent prom under the Stars event. And what a wonderful opportunity to help a high school that didn't get a chance to celebrate a prom as usual, but thanks to you, that event was able to go on. You have provided your financial resources to our Reserve Officer Program for effective vests to help enhance their safety. And I think if you'll look at Darcy, she's wearing one of those vests that you provided. And she's thankful because the other night she had an incident that she almost had to use it in a threatening situation. So we thank you. You've provided your financial resources to our department by funding portable gas detectors that improves their safety, efficiency, and effectiveness when responding to propane leaks. Again, another dangerous situation. We did have the funds to provide those, but the Legion came through. Thank you. And your American Legion family is actively and positively engaged in our veterans town, and without you, we would be a lesser community. For these representative actions and the many more things you do as an organization and as individuals, we thank you. And I mean that sincerely. And this is signed by myself as mayor, Bob Nelson, our council president, Bill Lukens, our public safety chairman and council vice president, and Mike Close, our chief of police. And again, I offer my thanksgiving and gratitude. And Darcy, I don't know if you've got any words that you would like to say, and thank you. I turn the mic over to you too.
From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate everything you guys do for our department. There's no words that I can truly say to acknowledge how much you guys have improved what we can do for our community. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Darcy. And now who's the head honcho that gets to take this?
I do.
Okay. Are there any words that any of you would like to say?
I would just like to say that we'll be here for our community. If you need something, come and ask, and if we can support you, we will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and let's have a big round of applause. Okay, our next item on the agenda is communications from the public. Are there any communications from the public? And do you see an individual coming forward?
Can you hear me? Yeah, now I can. My name is Mary Helen Peterson.
Mary?
I work.
Mary, excuse me, would you put a little plastic bag on the microphone, please? Thank you.
Okay. I don't know how you talk through plastic, but I'll try. My name is Mary Helen Peterson, and I worked at the library since 2015. Since I am now 78 years old, and I still need the job to keep my health insurance going. And I discovered a situation that's going on with the library that makes me wonder if I'm going to have a job when they release me to go back to work on the 1st of July. I understand that the mayor got involved with something and insisted on keeping a employee that was under probation and...
This, we do not discuss personnel actions.
Okay.
And that's...
Well, I just want to know if it's going to be straightened out so I have a job on July 1st.
And what we'll do, we've got our city administrator will be working with the librarian to get the staff assembled for 1st of July opening. And you'll be notified as that time comes.
Okay.
God, it was brought to my attention at the June 8th special council meeting. Mr. Cotty, you made the comment that I was arrested for a misdemeanor traffic violation. I want it on public record. I have never been arrested. I was not arrested for that. And I guess I think a public apology is due on this matter. I don't know why you felt compelled to say that.
Well, Mr. Grimes, I don't recall using the words arrested, but you were ticketed, you did appear in court, and you were fined for a traffic violation.
It's on video.
And,
you said
and it
was
is
arrested.
on video, but myself, the public safety, has reviewed that video. Your behavior was atrocious during that, disrespectful to law enforcement. And I felt it my duty as mayor to inform the council that any kind of vote or action that you take can be considered as reprisal if it goes against the police department because of the way you behaved and because of the ticket and the conviction that you obtained from that.
So then you're not going to apologize for slandering.
If the word is that you take offense to is that you were arrested, I will apologize for saying arrested. But I will say that you were ticketed, you behaved atrociously, you were speeding. That has been proven with a propane truck full of propane.
No, now once again, you're wrong.
And so
I was in my private vehicle, George. You don't have any of the facts correct.
I do. I've seen the video, and we have, and I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. I've made the apology for the term used. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, I just want it on public record that you lied. Thank you.
Are there any other communications from the public? Seeing none, we'll move on. We do have personnel actions A through H.
I make a motion to approve personnel actions A through H.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve personnel actions A through H. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports, Administrative and Finance, Bob and Caitlin.
Administrative and Finance met on June 8th at the Miller Center. Mayor Cotty, Caitlin, Bill, Misty, John, myself were present. Some new business items that we discussed. We talked about the library's plan for bringing employees back to work. We talked about an Airport CARES Act grant. The airport qualifies for a $30,000 CARE Act grant for airports. This will be an agenda item for the next council meeting. It's on the agenda for us tonight for consideration. We also talked about discussing how the fuel prices at the airport are set. Currently, the council sets the price per gallon for aviation fuel at the airport. This doesn't allow the flexibility for the airport manager to change the daily price to stay competitive with surrounding airports. The airport manager or someone else determined by the council. We feel needs to be given authority to adjust the prices to stay competitive under certain conditions that are approved by the council. So we'll continue discussions on that. We also talked about changes to the nuisance ordinance that have been recommended by, help me get this right, Misty, the South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance attorneys. And the recommendation from those attorneys is to look at amending our nuisance ordinance to add language to include pandemics. So we'll continue looking at that. We also talked about how the city charges for meter testing, water meter testing. The current rate for testing possibly faulty water meters doesn't cover the actual cost paid by the city to have the meter tested. The current language reads, in addition to routine city meter tests, the city will test a meter whenever it is requested to do so by the water user. A charge of $20 for meters on service lines of 1 inch and a charge of $50 for meters on service lines greater than 1 inch shall be paid to the city by the water user in advance of such requested test. The committee recommends changing the current language to read, a fee set by resolution of the City Council shall be charged for the removal of the meters to be tested. This fee shall be paid to the city by the water user in advance of such requested test. City water user is also responsible for the applicable third-party testing fees as well as any shipping charges. We also talked about the ordinance updates to American Legal. There have been numerous ordinance changes that have been approved by the council. The committee recommends submitting the approved changes to American Legal for updating on the city's website. The other ordinances still under review will be submitted to American Legal when they are approved by council. Bill talked with us about the letter of appreciation that the mayor presented to the American Legion tonight. We were in full support of that letter. He also informed us that the heating department, or the police department heating and cooling system needs replaced. The police department did receive 3 quotes, and the emails today were recommending that the low quote that was with Nelson's Oil, that the city go ahead and replace the heating and air conditioning system at the police department. John talked with the committee about hiring back part-time employees for the street department. And the next meeting will be July 13th, the next scheduled one. It's 1 o'clock at the Village Center.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to that, Caitlin?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I apologize, Caitlin.
Thank you, Bob and Caitlin. Airport Advisory Committee, Bill.
The next Airport Advisory Committee meeting will be Thursday, June 25th, 8 a.m. at the airport.
Fall River Regional Waste Management District, Ron.
Next meeting will be the 9th of July at 7 p.m. here at the University Center.
Downtown Historic Preservation Commission, Craig.
Meeting was called to order at 5 p.m. at the Mueller Civic Center. A quorum of commission members were present: Joe Moeller, Caroline Schwarzenbach, Steve Wiene, Ryan Crawford, Deborah Johnston, myself. Also present was Scott Stogie and John Gregory. Minutes to the prior meeting was discussed and upon motion was unanimously approved. Old business was the Walsh Oak building. It was said that it appears that demolition might be the only avenue available at this time. New business. It was motion by Mueller, seconded by Schwarzenbach, for the American Legion for a new sign was unanimously approved, subject to the condition that the Legion work with Mr. Sogi on restrictions, motion, and display characters of the LED sign. Eric P. came to us on his building for work on the front elevation of 141.5 Chicago Street. Was approved Mr. Sogi, he's supposed to work with Mr. Sogi on the building's owner for the color of paint and lower portion of the storefront. Here it needs to complete the forms needed and to restore the second floor windows. Mr. Gregory talked about drafting a revision of the historic ordinance. It was discussed. And that's all I got. Next meeting, July 1st, 5 o'clock at Community Center.
Okay, thank you. Evans Plunge Advisory Committee, Allison.
Evans Plunge Advisory Committee met June 11th at the Plunge. We had two items on our agenda. The first was opening. Everything is set and ready to go for opening, which was today. We discussed putting more cleaning supplies in the weight room to make sure that people had easy access to that. We also discussed the lifeguard shortage. We missed the big window of time for hiring, and so we are very thin on lifeguards. So if anybody knows anybody that's interested, they are hiring. Josh was trying to get somebody trained and on board so that they had some availability if somebody calls in sick. But right now, if somebody calls in sick, they may not have enough lifeguards to run both the indoor and outdoor pool. So if that does happen, don't be surprised if the indoor pool is the only thing that is, the indoor pool is the only thing that is open. So hopefully that we can get some more lifeguards on that way. We also discussed the hot tubs. As you know, that we have been discussing that for over a year. They are in dire need of some updates. The group knows that there may be some financial strain going into next year, but Tom is going to get John all the numbers so the council has those numbers and can see everything that was worked on and what is being suggested for an update at the next budget hearing. And the next meeting will be, as long as nothing changes, July 9th at 12 o'clock at the Plunge.
Okay, thank you, Allison. And was the Plunge busy today?
You know, I checked my email to see because I should have told Chris to give me a little update. John, did you get a little update? It was
Very busy.
very busy.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Well, it's good to have the oldest tourist attraction in the Black Hills open for business. And Allison, I want to thank you for all the work you did to help research and stand beside Chris and making sure that open went smoothly and that we're protecting not only the Plunge but our community. And is that the reason that you've got the star?
I think it was specifically from the recreation director as a thank you, because she was also part of some of our Evans Plunge meeting as opening, so we kind of combined the two. And so she had support through the Evans Plunge meeting and by Chris and myself to try to get open as well. So that is my star.
Well earned and well deserved. Thanks, Allison. Parks, Recreation, Beautification, Culture Development Day.
Our next Parks and Recreation will be July 1st of July, 1 p.m. here at the Mueller Center, and all is welcome to come.
Thank you. Planning Zoning Commission, Allison.
Planning and Zoning will be meeting this Wednesday, June 17th, 7 p.m. I believe it's going to be at the Mueller Center.
Public Safety, Bill.
Okay, the next public safety meeting will be this Wednesday, the 17th, here at the Mueller Center at 1 p.m. However, I would like to take this opportunity to remind everyone that we did make a change to our fireworks ordinance. The allowable dates for fireworks is June 27th through July 5th. That is the Sunday following July 4th. That's per South Dakota codified law. And that's providing the fire danger in the southern hills is high or below. If the fire danger in the southern hills is very high or extreme, no fireworks of any type are allowed within the city of Hot Springs. Penalty for doing so is a $500 fine. And the fire danger signs are for the southern hills can be found on University Avenue there at the South Dakota Fire or across from the courthouse. Also included in our ordinance is if you decide to shoot fireworks off at other than 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., you may be subject to a violation based on our nuisance ordinance. So be kind to your neighbors. We're giving you lots of extra days, so don't abuse the hours. My understanding, the local fire chief has been in contact with us. There is some concern with our current weather patterns. We may actually be seeing the fire danger at very high or extreme during our 4th of July holiday. So keep watch at that, because we may be in a time period, a weather situation where we cannot shoot fireworks. So keep an eye out for that, because if it is that situation, our police department will be working very hard to enforce that. So thanks.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Appreciate that update. Public Works, Bob and Ray.
Public Works met on June 9th. Mayor Cotty and Craig, Dave, John, Tracy Batchton, Scott Sogi, Chief Close, Captain Wayman, Diane Gross, Rajni Lerner, and myself were present. We had some new business items. The traffic ordinance has returned to Public Works for review. And the Chief Close and Captain Wayman spoke with the committee briefly and explained why they feel some of the changes are needed. Councilman Romy also has some changes he'd like to see to the ordinance, because this is the first time some members of the committee have seen this ordinance. The committee deferred making any changes until the full committee has had a chance to review the ordinance. The ordinance will be discussed at the next Public Works Committee meeting. The committee was asked to waive some late fees and penalties to a water bill that resulted from insufficient fund charges to the user's account. The user has paid the account in full, but still requested to have the fees refunded. The city has been asked to waive these types of fees before, but has denied those previous requests. To be consistent with past practice, the committee denied the request. We were also asked by Diane Gross and Rajni Lerman about decorating the metal fence in front of the recently burned buildings along North River Street as a new Hot Springs public art project. The committee supports the request to decorate the fencing, but because the fence is on private property, the committee recommended Diane and Rajni contact the property owners to see how they feel about the project. They were also advised to contact the South Dakota Department of Transportation to see if the state has restrictions about decorations along the state highway. Some old business items. The annual repainting of street markings has been deferred until work on Garden Street is finished. John was asked, John spoke with Conrad Signs about adding the Veterans Town on the 3 Welcome to Hot Springs signs. Councilman Romy mentioned this was tried at one time before, but the state would not allow the city to add that phrase to the sign. John will contact Rich Zacher with DOT to see if the city can add the phrase to the existing signs. Jennings Bridge, there will be a pre-construction meeting for the Jennings Bridge replacement on June 19th at the Mueller Center. The Armory property, Recreation is interested in using the old Army building for expanding their activities. During the most recent Parks Committee meeting, Recreation was asked to put together a proposal for how they would use the building, the costs, and where the revenue would come from. And Planning and Zoning is still working on a request for a proposal to sell the property. The Mueller Center heating system, Tracy has received 3 quotes for the materials to replace the heat exchange grid for the Mueller Center. The low bid was from Northwest Pipe for $13,057, which is a significant savings from the original estimate of $25,000. Once the parts are on hand, the city crews will begin assembling and replacing the grid. Fresno Avenue, gravel has been added to the Fresno Avenue and millings will be added at a later date. Flood wall channel repairs. John met with the VA, or will meet with the VA to discuss removal of their rock from the flood channel, and I believe he may have an update on that meeting in his report. Canton Avenue housing site, Holt Homes, has submitted their building permits to begin construction on the Canton Avenue building site. The Main Street bump outs and trees along North River Street. The committee discussed Keep Hot Springs Beautiful's request to consider planting trees along the North River Street. Keep Hot Springs Beautiful has provided the city with a requested list of trees they feel would work. The committee doesn't feel the city has current staff or future staff to be responsible for the maintenance of the trees. The committee is also concerned about the potential for the tree roots to grow into underground utilities. Because the city doesn't and isn't expected to have staff to maintain the trees, the committee doesn't feel trees should be planted along North River Street. The improvements at the wastewater treatment plant, the contractor is finished with their repairs. City staff is working on replacing the lid to the wet well. Light Up Our Town, Rich Zacher with DOT spoke with Tracy about Light Up Our Town's request to place banners at a number of locations along Main Street. The hope was to use street lights to hang the banners, but Rich told Tracy the street lights would not support banners. Dedicated poles would be needed, would need to be used. There's also a restriction about what wording can be placed on a banner that overhangs the state highway. And Tracy will talk with Light Up Our Town to see how they want to proceed. Ray, do you have any comments? Next Public Works meeting will be June 30th, 1 p.m. at the Miller Center, and the public's welcome.
Thank you, Bob. Southern Hills Economic Development, Caitlin.
Our next meeting is scheduled for July 17th, and I have not received an update on time or place yet.
Okay, thank you. Southern Hills Golf Course Advisory Committee. I would like to have more to report, but I have not been able to get out on the golf course yet. But we do have the upcoming meeting. One of the items that will be discussed is Jason has let the natural area grow. In other words, some of the rough area, he just let him grow to reduce costs on mowing. And there's a trade-off there because one of the things that we want to do to help facilitate people going through our course is to speed up the play, and by mowing those areas it's easier to find one's ball when it goes crooked, and we can speed the play up. So that will be discussed at our next meeting, and I don't have a date for that. Moving on, our volunteer fire department, Ron.
Volunteer fire department met June 8th at the Hot Springs Volunteer Fire Department. The grant was awarded for the Great Man Rescue Equipment. They don't have a check yet. The chief remarked that the calls are down quite a bit. He says, possibly due to the COVID-19 measures, keeping people home more than trouble. If there's an upside, that's about they had a discussion on that transport fire out of Buffalo Gap on 79 out there. It has some concerns about the neighbor fire departments having problems with man and equipment and getting them out there. He said, it did where it was quite a fire.
It looked like there was...
Yeah. So, anyway, they're working on that. They're working with the fire district for the new PPE equipment for workers, and that's right now as tentatively as a 7-year plan. They'll replace X number of stuff. That's every year. The 7 years, hopefully they can start getting guys in this year 2000 equipment rather than year 1970.
Be nice.
That was about the end of it. And it's been an honor to work with those guys.
Okay, well, thank you, Ron. We appreciate your time spent also on that committee. Okay, we move on to ordinances. You have in your packages Ordinance 1214, Supplemental Appropriation Ordinance. I'd ask for a motion to approve the first reading.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of Ordinance 1214, Supplemental Appropriation Ordinance.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the first reading of the supplemental appropriation ordinance. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
One question. Did we need to move the money for the police department?
That's going to be on the contingency transfer
Okay.
resolution that's going to follow this, but yes, we did need to add that. I did leave the blue words in, those are just annotations to let you know what the funding was for on this ordinance, so those won't be on the final one. They left it on there.
Any other questions or comments? If not, Misty, I'd ask that you call the roll, please.
David Burris,
Yes.
Ray Eckefe,
Yes.
Bill Lukens,
Yes.
Bob Nelson,
Yes.
Ron Richards,
Yes.
Allison Ritterbusch,
Yes.
Craig Romy,
Yes.
Caitlin Turner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that motion is approved. You also have in your packages a resolution 2020-19. That's that contingency fund resolution. And there's been a last minute addition to that, and that's the $2,600 for the air conditioning and heating for the, and that's a replacement, right, for the police department. I'd ask for a motion to approve that contingency transfer with that additional $2,600.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-19 contingency transfer resolutions with the addition of $2,600 for the PD.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the contingency transfer resolution. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, I'd ask all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We have new business, a possible motion discussion to accept and authorize me to sign the CARES Act grant offer. That's getting our Hot Springs Municipal Airport $30,000 funding to help offset revenues as a result of the COVID-19 emergency.
I make a motion to accept and authorize the mayor to sign the CARES Act grant offer, grant number 346002014-2020 for the Hot Springs Municipal Airport, provides $30,000 in funding to help offset declines in revenues as a result of the COVID-19 public health emergency to be used for purposes directly related to the airport.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve accepting this grant offer. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have the finance officer, Misty, wants to transfer some annual operating budget transfers as was budgeted. You see those listed there in the motion. I'd ask for a motion to approve those transfers.
Make a motion to authorize the finance officer to transfer the 2020 budgeted annual operating transfers from 602 water, $125,000, 604 wastewater, $105,000, and 612 solid waste, $10,000. Funds to the 101 general fund, $240,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize Misty, our finance officer, to make these transfers. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
I got one. I talked to Misty about this today, but I never got clear. Where does most of this go?
To the general fund.
Well, I know it goes to the
Operating
general fund, but
budget. Operating budget of the general fund.
so everybody down, like streets,
Yep, they all feed off the
Can't go
same
back to the
revenue
water,
source.
sewer.
All of the general fund departments feed off the same revenue source in the general fund. So it's not specifically to streets, it's not specifically to the fire department, it's not specifically to the finance office, it all goes into the general fund.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of making this transfer signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have in your packages, we have a hearing to be scheduled for Carol Wilson and Melanie Adcock to operate a home preschool daycare at 702 Houston Avenue. And that hearing would be at the 6th of July council meeting at 7:20 p.m. I'd ask for a motion to approve setting that hearing.
Make the motion to schedule a hearing for use permit on review for Carol L. Wilson, owner, and Melanie Adcock, tenant, to operate a home preschool and daycare at 702 Houston Avenue, Hot Springs, for July 6th at 7:20 p.m.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to set this hearing. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That hearing is set. We also have a motion and discussion to authorize the finance officer to reissue maturing CD at First Interstate. This is in our water fund for a 12-month term at 0.25%.
I'll make a motion to authorize the finance officer to reissue the maturing CD at First Interstate Bank, account number 68010000977-602 water, for a 12-month term at 0.25%.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to reissue to authorize our finance officer to reissue this CD. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
How much is the CD?
It's 102,000 and some change. I don't have my financial reports from the last time, but it's restricted for debt service in the water fund.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We do have an opportunity to temporarily use the Hickok family traveling exhibit at our library. I'd ask for a motion to approve the agreement between our library and the city of Deadwood.
Make the motion to approve agreement between Hot Springs Public Library and the city of Deadwood for a temporary use of Hickok family traveling exhibit.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve this agreement. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Move on in our agenda to the finance officer report. Misty?
I'm going to keep it short because it's hot in here. And I'm going to try not to get emotional because the goodbyes with this job are hard. Every year we see turnover, and I grow fond of each of you, and it's interesting and helps me to grow and learn with the variety of individuals with different interests that come and run for city council for various reasons. And every year I say goodbye to some of you. So this year I say goodbye to Ron and Ray and Allison, and to George, who stepped in at a very turbulent time and took the controls of the city and really, I feel, helped us grow and prosper over the last 3 years. The work that all of you have done in the various committees and the attention that you gave to your constituents and those committees that you were responsible for is commendable, and I appreciate all of you and your time, and I hope you don't go too far, and I hope that you may find it in your heart to serve again should your city need to, because you've all done an excellent job and appreciate the time and effort you put in. I have continued to monitor the finances as the mayor requested. Our general sales and use tax is still not taking the hit we anticipated. It's our closed facilities that had the biggest struggle. Evans Plunge is probably the largest decrease. They're down 69%, but open again. And we do have an idea that we'll be discussing in admin finance and with the future council about potentially using our Evans Plunge Mineral Springs bond refunding opportunity to skip the second payment or include it in that refunding. The second principal payment for the year is going to be around $100,000, a little over with some interest. And that's about where we're down year to date, about 115. So we're going to continue to monitor that and have to make a decision as a council by September. I've talked with Chris at the Plunge, I've talked with the mayor, and I briefly talked with admin and finance, and so we'll continue to monitor that. Although it's been difficult, we do have a plan in place so that the loss is not that extreme, and the subsidy that would have to be covered might not be as much, so.
And Misty, one of the things too we need to keep in mind is that as the congressional delegation redefines what the CARES Act funding can be used for, we need to have a good, accurate figure ready to see if that would be something that they would reimburse us for because of the pandemic.
And we definitely know our factors behind that, so.
Thank you.
That's a great point. Just a reminder to those of you that will still be here, there's a virtual budget training workshop on the 9th of July. I need to RSVP by the 25th for anybody interested, so please let me know, and I need to get some emails for our new council members and let them know as well about that virtual workshop if they're interested. We did have our loss control review with safety benefits last week, Thursday. We visited all the departments, and we're looking forward to the results of that, which we'll be sharing with public safety and then every department that was inspected. That's all I got. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you,
Misty.
Misty. John, City Administrator report, please.
Misty, I want to say I want to miss Ron, Ray, and Allison. It's good to get to know you and all the help you gave me getting started on this job. Since I do not have the South Dakota DOT agreements on my plate for the past 2 weeks, I got to look again at the comprehensive plan for 2020 and solicited some help from our administrative folks to give me some input to add and update that document. Black Hills Council of Local Governments helped put together this latest draft and tried to model it with the new format to be more web-friendly and user-friendly, minimize some of the statistical things that tend to draw you away from looking at the documents. It's really nice. It's got a lot of pictures in it now, and we'll be looking at that as we move forward with the new council. It's also got some updated zoning and building permit information. It's more current. It's listed in the 2019 year, which is good for our economic development. Our streets and maintenance department and parks, we had a really big free dump week. We exceeded all previous year events according to the staff. It was enjoyed and well aligned by everybody. Our Garden Street lighting improvements project is ongoing. We're still looking at a July 16th deadline for Jennings Bridge being removed. Until we hear differently from the contractor, that is still our target for having that road finished. Our Parks Department has been doing a lot of work on the sprinkler systems at Butler Park. We have the Centennial Park fountain open, ongoing work going with the Freedom Trail, getting repaving coordinated. Hopefully get some grass and more irrigation work done down there. The contractor repair items. Again, we had to revisit the noxious weed spraying, which is brand new to me. We don't have that in Alabama. Historic Preservation Commission, we're looking at an ordinance revision, trying to update that ordinance. We get input from that commission. Got some really good feedback on that. And also looking at the older guidance document for what the downtown's supposed to look like to see if that's still a good fit for the direction we're going with these new structures. Our airport, we have the FAA CARES Act grant, the CARES Act grant, which will support some of the investment that we needed to improve our terminal and other items that were allowed by that grant. We do have a new airport manager on board now. He's currently a part-time worker, but he will take over full-time operations in late August, and we're very excited to have his experience to help us along in this transition. Southern Hills Golf Course, I'm always learning about the golfing thing. Got to visit with the clubhouse. They are busy and open and have the COVID restrictions in place and all the signs, and it was really good to see how that was operating. Learned my lessons from Jason about what top dressing sand means. irrigation and water pressures, and fairway mowing. I just thought I had to do an RFP for failing that state. We hadn't got there yet. Heaven's Plunge, we've been working on the reopening plan and protocols, and thankfully today, they did open back up. They do have 125 person maximum that they're trying to maintain. They've got 2 intervals, Monday through Friday, where they're doing cleaning intervals. And on Saturday and Sunday, they have a 2 to 3 p.m. cleaning interval. They're working with the social distancing requirements, people wearing masks. So this is a new normal for Evans Plunge, and your patience is appreciated. Another business, we had the local election, canvass votes. This 2019 financial audit that you got to hear about today. Our Canton Avenue Workforce Housing, Hope Homes, has 2 building permits in place. They will be paying for those on Tuesday and collecting ground next Monday. The Rotary Club has announced that they want to have the street dance, but they will still have the 4th of July parade. Summer Rec has registration ongoing now for the current season. The library summer reading program is scheduled to begin in July. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. Well, this is the last council meeting, the last mayor's report you'll have to put up with. I guess to start out with, we is a special word, and it allows us to share the success that I believe the city has had over the last few years. And in Hot Springs city government, we mean several things. First of all, we mean a functional council. And we've had a functional council. That hasn't always been the case in our community, but you all have stepped up to the plate. I've watched you take on a tremendous workload in committee assignments, and you can tell by the in-depth review of the committee reports that a lot of work gets done. And the council has come on board and worked for the betterment of our community, and that we together has been a very, very important thing and much appreciated. We also means the city staff. I think we've got a very, very professional city staff. I want to thank you, Misty, as a finance officer, John, you as our city administrator in particular, for the jobs that you have done in making sure the things get done and get done correctly. The audit report was a good example of what's happened in Misty's case for the finance, and the listing of things that John's involved in. His report shows the kind of things and work that he gets involved in every day. And on down through our city staff and admin, we have a great bunch of people. It's a very, very powerful we. We also means our department heads and our city employees. And again, they've accomplished much. I think as a city, we've got somewhere around the neighborhood of 45 full-time employees. And you look at all the things that get done by these people, it's amazing. And the professionalism, the various talents that they have to do the various things in a small community like ours gets done, and that's a very, very important we. We recognize tonight a very important we is our police department. And police departments aren't the most popular departments in city governments in various communities around this nation now. And was very honored to be able to attend a spontaneous, almost spontaneous event that honored our police department a couple of weeks ago. And we're very, very fortunate to have that we. And then we also is a group of volunteers. Volunteers that serve on various advisory boards, committees, and so forth. We have a volunteer fire department, and very, very important to our community. And so I'm thankful for all of the we's working together for success. And what about some of the successes that we've had? Well, we have a very healthy economy in Hot Springs. You heard Misty's report. COVID pandemic hasn't hurt us yet that much, and that's because we have worked to keep our businesses open and still minimize the spread. We have had a balanced budget, and I believe our auditor said that we earned $200,000 more this past year than we spent. That's making a profit. Of course, we're going to need that in the future as we've got some challenges coming ahead. We as a community have had a building boom. By paving Boulder Falls, we've had new houses going up out there. We've placed an emphasis on workforce housing. We've got 2 duplexes on the Canton property, and as John mentioned, 2 governor's homes are going in there. By adding a water system up near the state home in the 25th Street area, we've got 3 state workforce homes going in there. Another wee thing that is a very good success. We as a community have an award-winning airport twice in the last 3 years, and that airport is poised to grow as we continue on in the future. We as a community have handled everything from fires to fireworks, to celebrations, to parades, to sad times too, mourning the loss of downtown businesses and seeing our historic sandstones succumb to fires. We have helped save the VA, and that hasn't been just simply the city, but a group of volunteers that worked tirelessly, a congressional delegation, governor, and a city that has worked to keep us the veterans town with a VA campus in our community. And we've also laid the foundation for future growth. Together we got $2.8 million to fund a suspended sidewalk over our Fall River to improve that river and allow access to that for people to come and visit, to give our downtown an opportunity to have a gathering place that will allow people to gather and our businesses to prosper in the future. It was interesting. Had to go down to Rapid on Saturday to take down a campaign sign that somehow got missed. And as we were driving by the fish hatchery, I happened to look over at the dog park, and it's a place where Rapid Creek makes a bend. That creek was full of people and dogs in there enjoying the water. Rapid Creek at this time of year is very cold, and yet they were still in there. If we can get our Fall River, which is nice warm water, and places for people to wade, I guarantee you there will be people gathering along River Street using that, and it will be a springboard to future development within our community. Our roots in Hot Springs are healing, and the healing waters, and we need to go back to those roots because they have kept this community flourishing. But now, I guess, the focus is not going to be on we, it's going to be on you that are remaining in city government, our employees, our city staff. And leaders are encouraged to think ahead because the future comes fast. Leaders determine the course of a community, and city government is more than fixing water leaks, filling potholes, catching speeders on the bypass. we've got department heads and city staff that can make sure that those things get done. Leaders are the ones that look to the future and look for ways of what Hot Springs is going to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and develop a pathway that we can get there. And so I encourage you to dream of what Hot Springs can become with our opportunities to bring healing to people, with our opportunities that we have been blessed with healing waters. I've been honored to serve as your mayor. I've been honored to work with each of you. And I've been proud of what we have done together. But I still maintain, and I know that you will ensure that it happens, that the best is yet to come for our community. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion to go into executive session
Second.
for 1-25-2, one for personnel.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session for personnel. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll be in executive session. There'll be no action taken subsequent. It looks like we've got everyone back. I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.